Happy Victory Sunday. Happy Victory Sunday. We are 6-0 and we're moving on to South Bend, Indiana with another Victory Sunday. I got my guy, Ryan Dyrud. Good morning, Ryan. How are you doing?
Good morning. Little tired. These Pac-12 after darks not only are late. I didn't get home till like 1:30 after the game, but also they're they pull you in many different directions. They give you cardiac arrest. There's always something crazy going on. Triple overtime. So we'll get into it. Obviously, want to get everyone's questions as people start trickling in here this morning. But yeah, I'm doing good considering. How are you doing, Coach?
I'm doing good. Once again, it's the Bet Online Salute Detroit podcast on Victory Sunday. I am actually tired also. I had to go to a company picnic yesterday. So we left
Company
Friday.
picnic.
Yeah. It's in Vegas.
Like
Our
you
headquarters is in Vegas.
Like, do you put out you bring the baskets, put out the sheets, sit on grass, or is it more
It's actually
formal?
at a really it's actually at a really nice park, believe it or not.
Oh, it's
It's
actually at a park. Okay.
yeah, it's nice. It's they roast a it's actually called a pig nick because they like roast a pig and everything, and then like they have
Oh.
food trucks and all that stuff. But so we left middle of the day Friday, which wasn't bad because we have the baby, and then
Mhm.
this morning we got on a 6:25 flight, and we got to our front door at 8 o'clock. So nobody can ever convince me that driving to Vegas makes sense. 37 minutes up and down. As soon as we level out, we're already descending. Like nobody can ever do that.
You're not wrong. If the price is right, you're absolutely correct. It's so much better. Um, Last thing before we just funny, just make it a flight. So, because I'm going to South Bend next week for the Notre Dame game,
Hmm.
and flights, of course, are crazy. And South Bend, you got to fly in either like Chicago or Indy or Detroit, and then drive down there. And so I'm looking at, like, speaking of tired, like most likely the flight I'll do is like a Friday red eye. So I'll get in Saturday morning and then just drive immediately to Notre Dame, go to the game, and then fly back out like Sunday morning at like the crack of dawn. So I'm gonna be right with you next week and
So Victory
tired
Sunday
together.
is going to be just like it. Victory Sunday is going to be interesting for you next week.
Yeah. I'll be running on fumes, but hey, hopefully it's a happy victory Sunday. But anyway, we're talking about this victory Sunday.
Yep.
USC
Victory.
prevails 43-41.
So I want to ask you this question, and I mentioned it in the in our group text, our Detroit group text. If SC had been playing up to standard, and you guys, it's the same Victory Sunday as last week. It's our new format. Ask all the questions you want. Let's get this thing going. We'll get your questions in there. We'll get them answered, and you guys can answer this question too. Uh,
Oh, we got behind enemy lines in here. It looks like.
that's my brother. He went to
I
Oregon.
know. I
Yeah,
know.
he does that on purpose.
I know.
Uh,
We can show
s-
it. It's okay. What's up, Kenny Rowe?
hey, so if SC plays up to par, has been playing up to par up to this point, right? Doing what they're supposed to do. There was no question about their defense. There's no question about anything. And they play a game like this. Are you saying like, man, I'm happy with it escaped, it happens? Or is it because of the performance that they have been putting on? It's like, here we go again.
I think it's the latter. Just from what we've seen, at least the last 3 weeks now, is sloppy, lackluster playing, inconsistencies. It's, the defense showed moments last night again, similar to Colorado, of improvement, and then they had lapses. The offense was the worst offense. I mean, it's funny they scored 43 points, Alfred, but the offense looked the worst that I've seen since Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams have been here. I mean, Caleb Williams finishes that game 14-25 with 205 yards. Like, receivers could get no separation. It's like they were trying to get Dorian Singer obviously involved going against his former team. Didn't even finish with a catch. And so, credit to Arizona and their secondary. I believe our good friend Deontay, his cousin, is the DB's coach. Brittany Deontay. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so they were at the game last night. I didn't see them, but they were at the game. I'm pretty sure his cousin's the DB. So hats off to him because that secondary played lights out against our receiving core. But no, not to get too long winded. I left that game, Alfred, feeling like, and you could disagree with this, other people could disagree with this, but I feel like this USC team truly can beat anybody in America simply because Caleb Williams is that good that they can beat anybody, but then they can also lose to anybody. Like they can lose to a bottom rate team. And it's what it's been showing. They've been escaping these last 3 weeks, but we haven't seen a dominant performance yet this year against higher competition. So we'll get into it. Want to get to the questions. We knew Arizona was going to be frisky. We knew Jed
Yep.
Fish, great coach. You said 2 weeks ago you could see Arizona finishing in the top 25. It'll be a little hard for them now with 3 losses, but they played like a top 25 team. Now, whether that was because SC played horrible or whether that was because Arizona just is actually that good is to be seen. But yeah, didn't leave feeling that game like national contenders, but I still feel like this team can beat anybody. It's just who's going to show up on Saturday.
Yeah. So here's the thing. You want to know what's crazy? Caleb Williams had a bad game and he had 4 touchdowns.
I know. Yeah. Only one passing, but
Caleb Williams he was the second leading rusher, 12 rushes, 41 yards, 3 touchdowns, right? And he had 1 passing touchdown. And so like those are the things that are crazy. Get your questions in, guys.
Of course, I put a Prize Picks thing. Sponsor, shout out Prize Picks, promo code USD LAFB. Of course, I put a Prize Picks. I put Caleb Williams over 3.5 touchdowns, but they had to be passing.
He gets you didn't do the combo.
Didn't do the combo.
I always do the combo. It stays the same. Always do the combo. Always do the combo.
Smart man.
Yep. Hey, so I've been talking about this for a long time, right? And I guess you could say I was wrong in a way. But I said it's going to come a game where the offense is just not going to produce, and we're going to need the defense, right? And you can't always say I'm going to score more than you. And yesterday was the day where we really needed defensive production. There's just no defensive production, and like to me, as a football player, as a coach, anytime anybody just runs toss and they just run it down your throat like that, that is complete disrespect. Anytime anybody just blatantly runs the ball like that, it's just complete disrespect. So it just makes no sense, like how good Caleb is. Caleb legit yesterday. You won a Heisman performance from a Heisman Trophy winner. That was a Heisman performance yesterday. He said, "All right, you want me to do this? I'm going to do it." Like, you know what I mean? He's like, "I'm going to win this game." So that's what you got out of that. But just I was just disappointed again defensively. Like 203 yards rushing, right? 3 of 3 receiving. They gave up 506 yards total offense last night. And they still won. Like, I get Caleb and he wants to protect his team. Like, these are my guys, but it's just not good enough. And I'm still gonna live on this boat. I'm gonna die on this hill. It's not the players. It's not the players. I really think it's the scheme. They were getting sealed and they ran toss. Jed Fish is a NFL coach. Jed Fish found it. You know what I mean? It wasn't gonna take long for him to find it. He found it, and that's what happened. Let's get to some of these questions, Ryan. You can throw up anyone that you want to throw up there. This is my cousin. This is my cousin. Just call him Lightbulb. Okay. We don't even call him Tyreek Stater. We'll just call him Lightbulb. Y'all have to talk about the defense the rest of the season, only holding the team back from looking like a legit CFP championship team. Yeah. At this point, though, I'm tired of talking about the defense. I say it every week. I just want to see a complete game, and we have yet to see a complete game. And the defense was the issue last night. And I'm gonna say this again. I just said this. It's not the players. It's the scheme. You are legit. They're running toss, and you're legit letting your end get cracked, and nothing to replace the end getting cracked. Like, oh, I'm gonna keep running toss. Like, come on, like that's not on the players. The players is doing what they're coached to do. You know what I mean? Like.
The only thing I agree, and this is I'm not defending the scheme at all. The only thing I'll say on that is last night specifically, there were many instances where they actually had numbers on the right side and guys just weren't making a play. They were just getting hat on a hat, just getting beat by Arizona. And so I'm not defending the scheme, and there's adjustments they should have made. But, for instance, on that touchdown and 2-point conversion that they ran the same play.
The same play twice.
I mean, the guy just got beat both times. And so sometimes, the scheme's bad, but sometimes it's like you got to win your battle sometimes.
I'm going to disagree with you there. And actually, tomorrow, when we do the X's and O's, I'm going to show you where the mistake was. because that should have never happened. So I think that is a scheme thing because he should have been protected there 100%.
Mhm.
That was a safety that he beat twice. You don't beat the safety on the goal line. There was no vertical route. That was the
Yeah,
outside
yeah, in that
receiver.
instance, totally. No,
Yeah,
totally.
so
That was a bad
the
example, but on some of the
yeah.
toss plays, they had numbers on toss plays, and guys are just not making tackles and
Well,
moving the ball, so
they weren't setting the edge. So I mean, and we'll talk about that tomorrow too. But yeah, they did have the numbers. I don't know if somebody told them, but they were playing with 6 in the box and 10 for
Mhm.
personnel, and they were playing with 7 when they had that tight end. And I'm like, somebody is must be giving them a link. Let's see. Do you think Rich will return for 2024 season? Remember, Lincoln is very defiant when it comes to. Well, I was thinking about this on my flight home. What's up, Brian? Brian was a big contributor. Keep asking your questions, Brian. I appreciate you. So here's my answer to this. Alex Grinch has 7 games guaranteed for him to prove that he
Mhm.
deserves to come back. He has the rest of the season, and then he has a bowl game guaranteed. They're going to a bowl game. They won 6 games. I will give Alex Grinch 7 games to prove that he deserves to come back. If Alex Grinch turns the corner in 7 games, then yes. If he does not turn the corner, then it's time to make a change.
Yeah, that's the only way. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not making a change midseason as much as people wanna see it. You're not gonna do that because then they're already it's a smaller staff than most college staffs, so then so you're not making a change midseason. So, it'll kinda come down to, in my opinion, if they make the CFP and if they win a semifinal game, regardless what happens in the championship, he'll be back. If they lose a bowl game, don't even make a New Year's Six bowl game, then I do believe then Lincoln Riley makes a move, but it won't be till then.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they won't do it in the middle of the season. Let's see. Can't use talent as an excuse for the D. Coach Rowe laid out the scheme and why they. Oh, this is Jeff. He's a big time contributor. He tunes in every single podcast. Jeff, thank you for joining the live. I think this is your first line joining. Thank you for all the support, Jeff, and everything you do. Um, Actually, Jeff, they had the numbers, like Ryan said. They had the numbers. There was a little tweaks that I think they should have made. I think that they should have set the edge instead of just letting them get sealed and try to play with flow. I think that they should have bounced it back to the interior on that toss instead of let it hit the corner. That's just me. There's multiple ways to do it. Speaking of defense, you know who played a really good game yesterday? Max Williams. Max was
Mhm.
playing yesterday. Max was really good, and Kalen came in big on that 2-point conversion. So
Ooh,
that's that was huge. If I was him
shot out
though,
of a cannon.
I would have tried to pick and scored and ended the game right then and there. But I'm
Yeah,
not
that
going to
would've been
knock him.
nice.
I'm not going to knock him for it. He did what he needed to do just so they couldn't score. So definitely. Let's see. Let's look at LV Raider, right? Oh yeah. Caleb Williams can't even afford an off
Yeah.
day.
Yesterday was his off day, so
It was his off day. And so here and so to me, speaking of Caleb Williams, and we'll talk about this right now. Caleb Williams won the Heisman last night. I mean, any other quarterback has an off day, their team loses. Caleb Williams had an off
especially
day.
with this defense.
Yeah, Caleb Williams had an off day and scored 4 touchdowns, put the team on his back. They go into 3 overtimes, they win. I think if that thing would have kept going, Caleb Williams' stats would have went through the roof. He would have scored every single touchdown. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's the thing too. Let's look at this one, right? Yep, that's one. Sports writer are even calling for Grinch head midseason. Yeah, so here's the problem, LV Raider 67. And Ryan just touched on it. You can't get rid of him right now because if you get rid of him right now, who are you going to put in his place? So those are the things you always gotta. Those are things you always got to think about, right? You got to think about the best situation, and believe me, we understand and we get it. Trust me, I've been anti Grinch since game 3, spring game of last season, right? And but at the end of the day, right now is not the time to do it, right? And
Yeah.
so that's why I'm giving him the 7 games. If he turns the corner in 7 games, then maybe we give him another chance. It's a conversation we have to have, but I right now you can't do it. I mean, let me ask you this question, LV Raider. Who's going to run the defense, right? And you run the defense and do you change the scheme right now? Game 6, and you got to go to South Bend. You still have to play Oregon, and you still have to play Washington, right? So Utah, I think with Utah we could count Utah out. They'll play hard, but without Cam Rising, I don't think it's the same.
Yeah. This is, I think, I'll touch on this, and I agree. I mean, I think last night, we've seen Tack Curtis is going to be a really good player for this Trojan team as a true freshman, but right now, Shane Lee or Rayshawn Davis should be starting at linebacker next to Mason Cobb. I think that's, either one of them. And then obviously Gentry and situationally with his size and length. But I think we've seen enough of Tack. Love the kid. He's going to be really good. I mean, just because he's struggling doesn't mean he's like not going to be good. He's a true freshman. But Shane Lee, Rayshawn Davis need to be out there with Mason Cobb. Shane Lee, the very limited snaps he played, got some big time stops, big time tackles. I mean, of all their defensive guys, he's one of their strongest tacklers. He just plays so limited right now. So that's my thoughts. You?
Yeah, I thought Rayshawn played his ass off. I thought Rayshawn was just killing it yesterday. And I thought Mason Cobb played really good. And I told you this, my evaluation of Mason Cobb, nobody plays sideline to sideline better than him. And you're running toss, and he was filling holes. Mason Cobb's biggest problem is, and we're starting to see it now, is he struggles with tackling. And I've also said this, Shane Lee is a run-stopping linebacker. You put Shane Lee in the same defense with Ray Maluga. Shane Lee's just as good as Ray Maluga. Arizona wanted to run the ball last night, and we saw Shane Lee at his best ability, and they put him in the best situation to win, right? And that was Shane. Shane Lee should start next week. It should be Mason Cobb and Shane Lee next week. Shane Lee at the mic, Mason Cobb at the wheel, and that run game that Notre Dame has should be ineffective if you start those two guys. So I 100% agree. I do like Tackett Curtis, and me, I fanboy big on Tackett Curtis, but I think, after film evaluation, watching him, I just don't think he's ready yet. I think he's a spot player and not a starter.
Yeah, so far, absolutely. And okay, I'll give my other thoughts later. Let's keep going down the list here.
What top
defensive recruits want to actually play for SC? I still think most of them, but I'll let you answer.
Yeah, I mean that one right there is still USC. Like, we are still, you know what I mean? Like, every kid wants to go to USC in Southern California right now. Like, they're recruiting and they're doing everything they want to do. Like, is it an issue? They see the defensive scheme, yeah, but also you got to remember, an 18-year-old could be like, oh, I could go and take a spot and make the defense better, right? So I don't think recruiting will be an issue. Recruiting for Lincoln Riley and recruiting for USC has never been an issue besides with probation and when they had Clay Helton, right? But other than that, if I walk into your house with an SC polo and I'll tell you I'm going to offer you a full scholarship and I'm going to give you the best NIL that anybody could give you, because that's the issue now, you're going to go to SC, right? So that's one of those things that I don't think it's an issue. I think they still are. Everybody still wants to go there.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ryan?
This is a follow-up. Have you seen the recruiting rankings modern day kids are serving, or I'm guessing leaving USC like crazy, maybe?
Modern day kids.
What do you meant there?
No, modern day is a big pipeline for SC. I think he's saying it right. A lot of the modern day kids are going to SC. So that was the reply of the defensive recruiting, that modern day kids always want to go to SC. Same thing with poly kids. Poly kids want to go to SC. So I don't think that's much of an issue, and they could go and make it better. So let's not panic let's not press the panic button on recruiting yet. Let's just see what we got. Your favorite five head. What's up, man? We had some good conversation last night. He contributed well. What's up, your favorite five head? Good morning. There's no way anyone thought what the Riley era will look like. Hit or miss, right? And I say this all the time. I think USC is way ahead of schedule. Way ahead of schedule. Last year, they weren't supposed to be where they were, and they had no depth, right? And I think they're still are working on their depth, right? They have no depth at corner, right? Number one. Who's number one for SC that's at corner? Not Zachariah Branch, but the corner that was
Damani Jackson. But he was
right
hurt last night.
Right. He goes down, and then you got other guys in that aren't good enough, right? That's one of their, if I'm hey, recruiting, we need to get better at corner, right? So those are those things that we have to. Those are things that you have to look at. I don't think they have depth at corner. We know they have depth at linebacker. We know they're building depth at defensive line. I think corner is the next issue that they have to get. So the Riley era is okay. I mean, so far he started 6-0 2 years in a row. He made a New Year's Six bowl. Let's just be patient, right? Like, I know our expectations are high, but I don't think the Riley era is bad. This is one thing you got to remember. This is still college football, right? And I compare college football. This is the best example I can give you. Penn State has not won any national championship that we could think of off the top of our head, or that as far as I lived, right? I don't ever remember Penn State winning a national championship. But who's my guy that's there right now? Oh my God, I can't think
John
of his
Franklin?
name. James Franklin. James Franklin's not on the hot seat, right? Joe Paterno has some 6-year wins, some 6-win years. He's never been on the hot seat. The goal is to put a good product on the field, fill the stands up, make a bowl game, and have your fans watch, right? National championship is the ultimate goal, right? But as long as you are primetime TV, filling the stands up, putting a good product on the field, everything will be at least win 10 games. Everything is fine. So we're okay. We're okay right now.
Unfortunately, the product in the field hasn't been great, but hey, we're getting there. So your 5 has said swerving is what he meant. So
swerving.
So moving away from SC. Yeah, we'll get a lot of recruiting talk definitely as this season starts winding down.
I need your favorite 5 head. I actually need to look into that. I'm not going to if you I'll look into that. And so we need to start getting Conquest Collective to start walking into some high schools.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I'll just say right now they're 7th. Oh, that's 23. So that's right now. Let's see, 24. I
don't think they came
right
out
now.
18th
overall in recruiting.
Okay, go ahead.
They got a top edge guy. They do have one top corner out of Bosco. But then they don't have a ton of so anyway, we'll get into that another time. But yes, so to their point, there is some guys decommitting or going elsewhere, which I think probably is a little correlation to Grinch, but I think it'll be okay.
Yeah,
because they always got that transfer portal now too.
Yeah, definitely. Fight on. Do you anticipate us dropping in the rankings? I don't know. Maybe, but right now it doesn't matter. The rankings don't matter for another 2 weeks. Like, if you go look at the coaches' rankings, I think we're number 8 or 7 or something like that. Like, the coaches one is the one I look at because that's what a trained eye sees. I don't really rely on the AP. So I know the media does because they're the ones that vote on it. And
they create it.
Yeah, they create it, right? The AP poll is theirs. That's why they always show the AP ranking, but they never show the coaches ranking. We're always ranked higher in the coaches ranking. So I'm not too worried about rankings right now. And that's something we can't control. We can only control what we can control, and that's winning ball games. So as long as we can keep winning ball games, they can't keep us out of it, right? And we got to get better, right? I understand we got to get better, but yeah.
Yeah, and
I'm not too worried about
if they went out, which is going to be very difficult seeing how last night went. But if they went out, where they're ranked in the AP right now won't matter. They'll be in the college football playoff if they went out. So, what are they? They were 9 going into this game. Texas lost, but OU
Notre Dame lost.
Notre Dame lost, but they were behind us at 10. But OU will probably jump us, which is obviously its own storyline with Oklahoma and their fans, and now probably jumping USC. I bet we'll stay either at 9, maybe drop to 10. So
I'm not too concerned about the ranking. USC has been relying on offense for wins. Arizona outgained us by 150 yards. Yep, they sure did. They surely did. And the only thing we have that is not good, and we can't rely on that, is number 13. Number 13 is going to keep us in games, and he proved that last night. We play Miller Moss, we lose. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? We play Miller Moss, we lose. I mean, so can we rely on Caleb Williams? Yeah, we can. Is it a good idea to rely on Caleb Williams? Nope, it's not. We got to get better. We need a complete game, and we have yet to have a complete game. So that's the issues. We need to have a complete game. We have a complete game. This Victory Sunday is like, oh my God, like this is what we wanted to see. So, so I mean, that's one of the good things about it. Let's see what we got next. What do we have next? What
You
about
can
this
choose,
one?
coach. You
All
choose,
right.
real, yeah.
Naturally, though, they've shown they will continue to make bonehead personnel decisions. I have faith. I have not faith that they start the right guys on D next week.
So that goes into like Tackett Curtis and seeing some of those
Yeah.
guys out there.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, man, and that's the unfortunate part, right? Because if it was me, Jeff, if it was me, Shane Lee or Rashawn Davis is playing with Mason Cobb. I will rarely take Mason Cobb off the field because I like his effort, right?
Yeah.
But he's a will backer. But Shane Lee and Rashawn Davis needs to play majority of the snaps next week. So hopefully they figure that out and we could get that going. No, 100%. We get that done. It looks like the defense started slowing them down once Gentry came into the game. Yeah, they used Gentry. Hey, that is actually a good point. So when Gentry came in, they started using Gentry to set the edge. And when they started setting the edge, they started turning the ball back. But then it's like all of a sudden it starts to work and then they just stop. That's the thing about it. Like, that's so weird to me. Like, it's like, oh, it's working. Oh, let's stop doing this, right? So those are one of the things that kind of gets me like irked up. Like, I was watching the game in the
grinds your gears a bit.
Yeah, I was watching the game and I'm like, why are they stopping? Like, why do they keep trying to prove how smart they are? Like, I just don't get it. In my SC, I think USC should be in the top 5 in the rankings, and that's at this point.
Eric Gentry, just to quickly say something. Eric Gentry, not that PFF is the Bible, but he was the highest graded defender for USC last night with a 79.5 grade. So
there you go.
And guess who's number 2?
Shane Lee.
Yep.
Yeah.
Obviously, much less snaps than others. But when you look at Gentry, Lee, Covington, and Bullock as your top 4, Covington had a nice game. Covington has had some rough games this year. He had a nice game last night overall.
Yeah, in my opinion, USC should be. I don't know. I'm the hardest critic, and I'm the biggest fan. Let me tell you this: I expect excellence from the Dodgers. I expect excellence from USC. I expect excellence from the Lakers, from the Kings, from the LA Galaxy, and from the Rams. I am 100% LA, all LA. And
you're Galaxy, not LAFC.
LAFC is like the Clippers. I didn't grow up with LAFC. I grew up with the Galaxy. I remember when it was the Home Depot Center.
Oh yeah, I did too. I was here.
So
remember when Chivas was here? When the
Chivas USA. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
So
sorry. Started.
No, you're good. No, you're good. I don't think they're a top 5 team. I will say this. The top 10 has so much parity, there is no difference. So being in the top 10 right now is not a big issue. We could go
I think he means in recruiting rankings. Like they should be not 18th in recruiting. They should be top 5.
Oh, he did say recruit. I'm sorry, Brian. I apologize. You're right. 100%. You're correct. Yes. We should be top 5 year in and year out. We have a hotbed for talent. We should be top 5. You are correct. You are correct.
Do you think, just in your opinion, because of the transfer portal, because Lincoln's always recruited well, and obviously he's stronger on offense maybe than defense, but he's always, dating back to his days at OU, was always a top 8 recruiting team. Do you think he's almost now being like, you know what, I like this transfer portal, like he's taking the gas off of recruiting just because, or do you think it's just some of the stuff that's going on in defense? Like, what do you attribute that to?
I think he's making the mistake and he's not building, right? And he's relying too much on the transfer portal. And if it was me in this situation, he's on year 2. So year 1, I would have been 80-20 transfer portal high school recruiting. Year 2, 70-30. Year 3, 60-40. Year 4, I would have been 60-40 high school recruiting transfer portal, and I would have flipped it. So I would have been able to start to build my high school recruiting and not rely so much on the portal. So yeah. So I do think he's relying too much on it to fill gaps. And those gaps that you're filling, you're only filling them for 2 years and you got to go replace it again, right? Shane Lee's gone, right? Mason Cobb will be gone after next year. You should have a guy in the chamber, in the FAR system, right? You should have another Tackett Curtis being built up, being ready to go. So when he leaves, all you got to do is replace him with a guy who's already been in your system instead of going to find somebody and try to get him to fit in. So
Yeah. And what's interesting is I feel like they actually have some good young talent in the front seven. It's more the secondary, which is so interesting because Coach Williams, Dante Williams, say what you want about him about a coach, but he's like a phenomenal recruiter. And
Yes.
he's also the DB coach. So you think they'd have a little more
Yeah.
depth in his room. So that's just
100%.
interesting.
I wanted to get on this one. Gixxer Squid. I hope I said that right. Do we have
That is his
any
real name, so I think you're okay.
do we have any DCs in the transfer? That's not a bad joke. I'm in the portal. I'll take that job right now.
Let's go.
I'm in the portal. Man. Hey, this is actually a good point. Last night, the offensive line got exposed. I don't think they got better on the O-line. Their O-line was not great last night. And I give a lot of credit to Arizona's defense coordinator, who was at SC. At one point, he was also at Washington. All they did was just bring the heat. They brought the heat and played man. They said, we're just not going to give Caleb any time, and we're going to put him in scramble drill. And they did really good on scramble drill. They brought the heat, and like, we're going to zero you up. We're just going to play. We're going to be tougher than you. You know what I mean? And the thing that overcame it is that SC was more talented, right? You could create a tough team, but if you're not talented, same thing with Kentucky last night, right? Kentucky's tough, but they're just not talented, right? I shouldn't say they're not talented. They weren't more talented than Georgia. Arizona wasn't more talented than USC last night, right? The game was on the line. Who are you going to pick, Fafita or Caleb Williams? You're going to go with Caleb Williams every time. So the toughness is there, and my hat goes off to Judge Fish. But that offensive line has not gotten any better. They need to do something. They need to go down the yellow brick road and go see the Wizard, because Notre Dame is tough up front on that defensive line. That front seven for Notre Dame is tough. So they better go see the Wizard.
The only thing I'll add to that, because I agree with you, but just if we're going to try to be positive at all on this, is I feel like they did get better as the game went on. They started off abysmal. I mean, Caleb Williams had no time. Obviously, they ended up giving up 3 sacks, I think 7 tackles for loss. 3 and outs to start the game. I did feel, though, the offensive line improved as the game went on. They still weren't by any means like a dominant unit, but there was at least improvement as the game progressed. So that was at least some positive light to take on it.
What are your thoughts? I don't think they played down to their opponents. I just think Arizona was tough, and they had a point to prove. 37 kids from Southern California who did not get an offer to USC. That's a chip on your shoulder. Those dudes came in ready to play, and this is also a learning curve for Lincoln Riley, right? And we know, and we've known how good and how competitive the Pac-12 has been. The media has made the Pac-12 downplayed the Pac-12 for the past 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years that you get a guy like Lincoln Riley who comes in and he goes to Corvallis and he's like, I didn't know Corvallis was this long, right? This loud. He goes to the Palooza like, oh, this is different. He plays in Utah and is like, this elevation is no joke, right? So I think this is a learning curve for Lincoln Riley. And once he gets used to that learning curve and he understands it, I think everything will be all right. So,
I mean, I think that's the biggest point is Arizona's not a bad football team.
No.
Well coached. They have a lot of good recruits. I mean, Arizona had, I think in their 2023 recruiting class was like top 5, wasn't it, coach, or something like that? Like they had a really good recruiting class coming to this year. That being said, SC still should have won by more than 2 points in triple overtime. Maybe I don't think the 21-point spread was fair in my opinion, because I think Arizona was that sleeper team that we really thought was going to make that jump this year. And they had kind of a rough start, so everyone counted them out early, but they're a good football team. Anyone in the Pac-12 can beat anyone. We've always said that, outside of maybe Cal and Stanford this year. But it should have been a 2-point triple overtime win still, with all things being considered.
Since we have more people here, I'm going to ask a question that I started this off with. So, and I want you guys I'll ask you guys, and I want to see your responses. So I asked Ryan when we first started this off, I said, if SC has been playing up to the standard, right, and they've been blowing teams out and there weren't any issues, and they played Arizona like they did last night, will we just say, will we be happy that we got out of it and it's just a bad game? We're chopping it up to a bad game, or are we saying that there's no improvement and we're like, man, this has to be fixed? What do you guys think about that? Let me see you guys' comments on that. Because I will tell you this, I don't think I responded to it. My response to last night's game was we finally got battle tested. Like, it was one of those games where, and we were going to have one of those games, and I'm happy we had it now, where things just weren't clicking, right? And the fact that it wasn't clicking and we still got out of it. One of those games were going to happen, and that was the game last night. I think because of past performances and preconceived notions and the perception that's been put on by SC is what kind of gave it a negative light, like you said. But last night, I knew last night was going to happen, right? And so it just, oh man, I'm not too worried about it, but it just happened.
Yeah. And I think that's the frustrating thing. It's just because the expectation is so high, as it should be, but we're just not seeing that improvement on specifically one side of the ball. And so you get all this excitement and anticipation with all these new players coming in, these top line transfers, these top recruits, and the product is just not any better. I mean, this defense really doesn't look much better, if at all, than last year. And I think that's the hard part to swallow. And granted, they've had some injuries. Last night, this is off topic kind of, but speaking of injuries, in the press conference, Mason Cobb says during the press conference that his rib popped out in the second or third quarter, was playing with a popped out rib the rest of the game. I mean, at least the dude's a warrior. We'll give him credit for that for sure. But that was, everyone's like, wait, what? Did you just say your rib popped out?
Yeah, that's big time. That's dedication.
Hey, I want you to answer this, Coach, because you'll know better than me. From my vantage point, it's LV Raider 67. How come they weren't ready for the Arizona Dollar defense? Didn't they watch the Washington tape? From my vantage point, and I could be wrong, so that's why I want you to comment. I feel like Arizona actually ran a very different defense last night than what they did against Washington. So hats off to them, because they were just sending guys and playing man, and receivers could not get any separation, and they were just getting home quick, which was different from what they did against Washington, I thought.
They ran a completely different defense against Washington. They blitzed every single. They were sending 6 consistently. I'm not going to say every single time. They were sending 6 consistently, and not only that, they were sending 6 as disguising, and you don't know where it was going to come from. So I think it was a completely different defense. It was a change up in game plan, and that was great game planning by that was great game planning by Arizona. Like it happens sometimes, and like I said, that's going to happen. So it is what it is. This is what happens when you guys let. Oh, I'm sorry. He deleted. This is what happens when you guys let haters in here. This guy went to Oregon. Don't agree with him. Don't say I agree with Kenny. This guy went to Oregon. He went to school. He went to school for the uniforms and conference championships. He doesn't know what it means to win big games. So there you go. Yeah. Let's see. This is a good point. I feel like there's no improvement and things need to change. Oregon and Washington won't go well for us, in my opinion. So let me address that. And we actually talked about, Johnny Nansen was his name, Matthew. Yep. Thank you for it feels okay. So Oregon, I'm worried about because they play Oregon and Autzen. Washington, I'm not so worried about because they play Washington at the Coliseum. If you go and look throughout the Pac-12, every game on the road has been a struggle for every single team. Washington struggled last week at Stanford, right, which is a bottom feeder in the conference. Oregon, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Washington struggled with Arizona.
Washington struggled with Arizona and Tucson. Colorado struggled last night with Arizona State, like on the road. There was another big scoring game that Oregon State and Cal. Oregon State was struggling with Cal. It was a dogfight with Oregon State and Cal, and they were playing in Berkeley. So
Washington State lost to UCLA at the Rose Bowl.
At the Rose Bowl. So those are things that it's just home field advantage is the thing in the Pac-12 this year. So I'm a little worried about Oregon, but I'm not too worried about Washington. I also believe this. We'll go 1-1 with Oregon. And I've said this before. You remember I said this, Ryan? We'll go 1-1 with Oregon. It's just when we will go 1-1. I prefer to go 1-1 during the season, and we beat them in the Pac-12 championship. I don't want to go 1-1 where we beat them during the season, and then we lose in the Pac-12 championship. So that one right there. That's it right there. Great game planted by Johnny Nansen. Yep, Johnny Nansen. He was an SC guy. He was at Washington. Johnny Nansen was the Arizona DC. He did a really good job. Let's see this one. Raider Trojan, yes, on defense, but on offense isn't well coached either. I will strongly disagree with that. I will say this: they average 51 points a game. They are putting up numbers. They're scheming. The only issue that Lincoln Riley has with calling offense is at times he gets way too cute. And he got cute last night on that 2-point conversion play, and it happened to pay off, right?
My heart dropped when they lined up. I'm like, dude, what are we doing here? We're all in the press box standing up like, oh, no, what is this?
So when I saw that play, I just got back to my hotel room because I was originally watching it in the sports book. And then when they were going to kick the field goal to win, I was getting in the Uber. And then all of a sudden it was just like, oh, man, this is all bad. So
that's why they missed it, because you left. You went to your Uber. And they just
I guess
locked it up.
Blame me. I blame Brittany, because every time Brittany goes to the Coliseum, it's either a big game, somebody loses. I'm blaming Britt. Yeah. Let's see. This one says, but we struggled and we were at home. But the point is, we won. That's what I'm saying. Like, games are close. Go look at all the Pac-12 games, even from yesterday. Like, the home team, some home teams lost, but the games are close. Like, they're not like, there's no guaranteed blowouts right now anymore. So that's the thing I want you to look at. That the Pac-12 is really competitive from the bottom feeders all the way to the top of the conference. Like, it's not what people assume. It's not top heavy. Like, every week in and week out, you go into the Pac-12 and you could lose. Like, and I remember that when I was playing in the Pac-10, week in and week out, like, no matter who you play, you could lose. So that's the thing you got to worry about. Let's see. USC has very good running backs, but no holes to run through. I'll disagree. They ran for 146 yards last night. Marshawn Lloyd had 15 carries for 86 yards, and he had 5.7 yards a run. So, in rebuttal to that, I will say Marshawn Lloyd is very good. There's an issue that Marshawn Lloyd and Caleb Williams is having, and we'll discuss that tomorrow. And I think that has more to do with relationship and Marshawn Lloyd getting used to the offense. But when they run the ball, I will tell you this: when SC runs the ball, they get very successful, and they need to run the ball more. Austin Jones had 5 carries for 15 yards and a touchdown when it mattered, right? So I don't think so much it's the offensive line, because I think Lincoln Riley puts them in a good situation, and he runs the ball to where the numbers are weak, and that's why there's success. But, I mean, 15 for 86 is pretty good. I'm not going to complain about that. I get 5.7 yards a carry. That's cutting the sticks in half. So I don't think we need a panic on the run game right now. You know what I mean? Like, there's a couple of things that we don't need to panic on. So
it's not gonna look like Arizona State every week where Marshawn Lloyd was averaging 13 yards a carry. So if anything over 5, your run game's pretty successful.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, more questions before we get out of here. I want to get you guys enough time for kickoff. Let's get some good questions, you guys. Come on. We got 22 people in here. Let's get some good questions. We're here to answer anything. In the meantime, Ryan, I will ask you this. So we go to South Bend next week. This is the start of the grinder. We go to South Bend, and then we go to Utah comes to us, and then we go to Washington comes to us, and then Oregon, and then UCLA, right? All I know is we have Oregon. We have
Cal's
Oregon
in there somewhere. We got
Cal's in there. You're right. But we have Oregon, UCLA, Notre Dame, and Washington left, right?
Whew.
Do you think that they scheduled this correctly? Do you think that we should have had our bye sometime now? Or are you okay with that bye being so early in the season?
I mean, for health-wise, you'd like it later. But I think just for momentum-wise, it was good to get out of the way, especially when we saw how flat they were off the bye. Now, they've had 2 weeks since then and have still had issues. But I think when you play this grinder of a schedule, and, players might disagree because they're the ones doing it, putting their bodies out there, but you kind of need to just build that momentum. And sometimes a bye is great for rest, but it can throw off any momentum you've gained. So like if they go to South Bend and they win a big game and then you go on a bye right after that, it's almost like it'd be hard to get up again for, Utah coming up. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I think it's just like, at this point of the season, just go, 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 and rock. But what do you think? You're the one actually doing it.
I agree with you. And I'll give you a perfect example. It's a different sport, but here's a perfect example. Yesterday, 1 out of the 4 top seeds in the MLB won their game coming off of a 5-day bye.
Yeah.
Right? And all the teams that they played were just in a best of 3 series to get into the playoffs. So that's a perfect example. Here go the last few questions. Why do you think Riley isn't running the ball more? Pat and Caleb? Nope. He's just a pass first guy. He's come off the how mommy tree. They live off of pass first. It has nothing to do with Pat and Caleb's stats. I just think he wants to throw the ball first before he runs the ball. And it is what it is. It's nothing.
And last night they fell down 17-0, so you're kind of forced to start slinging it a little more than usual.
Why are Coach Riley's teams always weak on defense? He can't find any good defensive players on the West Coast. Go watch our podcast from last Monday. That's the best way I could. Earl Williams, go watch our podcast from last Monday. I don't think it's and I'll say this again. I don't think it's the players. I think it's the scheme. So go watch our podcast from last Monday and just comment. Tell me what you think. How about giving up sacks? Seems like a problem when you're getting out sacked. So here's the deal with the sacks, right? I would be concerned if he was getting sacked within 2 to 3 seconds. He's not getting sacked. Caleb Williams isn't getting sacked within 2 to 3 seconds. Caleb Williams is getting sacked in around the 4 or 5 second mark. So the offensive line is only taught to hold their block for so long, and then you start to get into holding. That's a lot of work blocking somebody. So I think that it's a gift and a curse. And the same thing you have to remember, Ben Roethlisberger, right? He was known for extending plays. He got sacked a lot. Patrick Mahomes gets sacked a lot too. But it's just them extending plays, and sometimes they pop open. I don't think it's so much of protection. Do I think the O-line is superior and I think it's one of the best O-lines? Nah, I don't. But I think Caleb Williams extending plays, and sometimes you just can't hold the block that long. And it's a gift and a curse because sometimes it works really well, and then sometimes it's like, damn, he got sacked again. You know what I mean? Like, just throw the ball away, right? Because and that's a good point. Every time he gets sacked from extending the play, the first thing you think in your head, like, why didn't you run it or throw the ball away? Right? Most of his sacks, those are his thoughts. It's never, damn, he has no protection. So I don't think he's not being protected. I just think that our O-line is not superior. They're above average, and they need to be superior.
Well, I'll just comment on that too. I think last night specifically, Arizona finished with 4 sacks, I think 7 TFLs. I would put those sacks more on the receiving core and Lincoln Riley than I would the O-line. You can credit this to maybe Zachariah Branch being out again for a second week, but every route run was a intermediate to long route. They were doing nothing short other than maybe a running back leaking out of the backfield. And when Zach Branch is out there, we see him do these really simple, just kind of out routes, little short dig routes, open in the flats in space. And everything with Rice and Kyron Hudson and even Mario, they're running 12-yard comebackers. They're running a bunch of deep post routes. They have one guy streaking. And so when you have those long developing plays and guys aren't getting open because Arizona's secondary is just blanketing them, I mean, your O-line can only hold for so long. So I put that more on Lincoln Riley last night, being like, hey, we just got it. Let's be creative with our play design to have some quick routes that get open quick, because these long developing ones, no one's getting open. I mean, there's a reason why Caleb was only 50% completion percentage, because no one was open and they're throwing the ball deep every time.
Right. Look no further than what Chip done across town in Westwood. Hire outsiders from the NFL. What they did yesterday pretty much shut down an opponent. Well, Ken Norton Jr. is an outsider. He's an LA guy. Well, that's true. No, I agree. This is a Run LBC. He went to Poly. I wish I knew who this was. What up, Funkhouse? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
I tweeted this yesterday because he, Chip Kelly's always hired within his realm someone to Lincoln Riley, and this is the first offseason where he kind of went out and hired Deonton Lynn, relatively unknown. He was on the Ravens staff, obviously son of Anthony Lynn. And yeah, I mean that defense looks pretty. I mean, they held Washington State. They held to 10 points because they had a pick six. So they held Washington State, one of the most prolific offenses, to 10 points. So
Yes. So my response to that is I'll throw it back up there. And you remember I commented on this? Friends get you fired unless you have friends that will tell you the truth, right? Unless you have a friend that will legit walk into your office and tell you that doesn't make sense and that's not right. When you hire your friends, they don't protect your blind spots. And I think this is where Lincoln Riley has failed right now. So he needs somebody to protect his blind spots. All right, last few questions before we get out of here. I don't want you guys to miss kickoff. I know the Jags and the Bills already played. Who end up winning that game?
it's there's 18 seconds and Jaguars just recovered a fumble. So Jaguars will win 25-20.
There you go.
You're trying the old hook and ladder lateral move.
All right, last questions. Come on, give me some good questions, guys. Anything?
Get this one off top of your dome.
All right.
And this is obviously as we said, this isn't happening midseason. Grinch is not getting fired this year. It'd have to be afterwards. So who's a D coordinator on your radar you'd love to go after if it were to happen?
Me? No, I'm joking.
Because there's one right in LA.
I think we're thinking this. I think we're thinking the same guy. Is he at UCLA?
No, he's with the Rams. I go get Jimmy Lake.
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy Lake, he's like an analyst with the Rams right now.
I'll go get Ken Norton Jr.
Yeah, or Kenny Norton.
I'll go get Ken
Norton.
I don't
know if I feel like Ken Norton doesn't want to be DC because he's been on that UCLA staff now for a while. And the fact that Chip went over him and brought in DeAnton Lynn, I feel like Ken Norton maybe was like, hey, I'm good being. I could be completely wrong on that, but I go get Jimmy Lake. I know there's some checkered stuff at Washington, but when he was just calling defenses, they were pretty damn good up at Washington.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that'll be a good one. All right, guys. Any more questions? You guys good?
Just answer this one real quick. Last one.
It seems like Caleb Williams won't take the check down. He's always looking for the big scramble play. I don't know. What do you think?
I would say yes and no. I think what makes him so great is no play is ever dead. He's always looking for that big play. So to your point, LV, like I think there are times though where he does take the check down. But yeah, there's definitely times when he tries to do a little too much and it doesn't get him in trouble. Only one pick on the year, but he could get 4 yards out of it instead of.
Can you knock on wood, please?
Yeah. So I'd say yes and no.
Yeah, I think the best thing about Caleb Williams and what makes him so good is the fact that he always keeps his eyes downfield, and I think things pop open by him keeping his eyes downfield. And with him scrambling, I will say this: with him scrambling, right, and to extend the play, I think he missed the check down becomes out of vision, and then he goes to the next progression because most likely the check down is over the top of the line. So,
yeah. I've never seen a quarterback more comfortable in the pocket. Like it is just wild to watch. A blitzer can come free, like right in his face, and it's just like the most simple, just whoop, sidestep, move up, and he's good to go. Like I've never seen someone more comfortable in the pocket.
Yeah, I like Marcus Freeman, but I don't think Marcus Freeman is going to get fired right now. You know who else I like? I like the DC at he was at Cincinnati. I don't remember his name. I don't know if he went over to Wisconsin with who's the Wisconsin coach? He was at Cincinnati. Help me out, Ryan. This is your specialty.
Luke Fickell.
Luke Fickell. Yeah, I don't know if he went to Wisconsin with Luke Fickell, but he was good. Here's another guy, Jeff Rodriguez. Jim Leonard. Yeah, that's not a bad name. Is a Grinch of the defense. It's the scheme. Go watch my podcast from Monday, and you see how it's the scheme. It's 100% the scheme. I think we're good there. I think we had enough questions. I want to let you guys get enough time to at least get some breakfast in you, or go to run to the store real quick and get your food ready for NFL Sunday. I'll be red zoning it up. You got anything else before you head out, Ryan?
Nope. Hey, it feels a little melancholy, but hey, this team's still 6-0. We'll see if make some adjustments. I think that's a tall order considering we haven't seen anything defensively really change. So I think this is kind of the group we got. So let's write it out. Let's let Caleb still keep being Superman and just see if we can keep pushing this thing further. So,
I think I found our answer. I think we need to get this guy.
There we go.
We need to get this guy on the field.
He's already built. He's already built. I think he's bigger than my 3-year-old daughter.
We need to get this guy on the field. You want to play linebacker or safety?
Go enjoy your Sunday with your son and family.
No, definitely. Hey guys, I will say this. I will say this. Last night, my thing about it is they just needed to be battle tested. I wasn't too worried about last night's game. I knew a game like that was going to come, and it came. This was one of the games where I was like, all right, this is what I needed to see. We got a big stop out of the defense when we needed a big stop, right? We didn't end up going into 8 overtimes, right? Caleb is going to be Caleb. I mean, at the end of the day, we're not going to look sharp on both sides of the ball, but we still haven't played a complete game. So I'm still waiting for that complete game, but this is the battle test that I wanted to see, and I think it's perfect timing because we're going to South Bend, and I think this is something that they needed to do. They needed to get a little tougher bark, so definitely. Hey, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all your questions. Another Victory Sunday. Trojans 6-0. We're moving on to South Bend. We're going to reclaim. We're going to keep our Jewel Shillelagh because we beat them last year, and it's exciting to see. We'll have our recap from last night's game up on Tuesday. We will have our preview show up Friday. We'll have it up Friday, right, Ryan?
Friday, and we're going to start getting some players on as well.
Oh yeah. We'll have some players on the show
midweek.
We'll have players interviews midweek. Also, if you do miss our podcast, you can tune into the Mighty 1090 AM at 5:00, and you can listen to us on the Mighty 1090 AM at 5:00. I appreciate all you guys' contribution, all your help. Keep liking, keep subscribing. Go to lafbnetwork.com, order you some merchandise. We have Rams, Raiders, and the other school that's in Westwood.
We don't got
Raiders. We don't have the Chargers. I'm sorry. Rams, Chargers, and the other school in Westwood. So I appreciate all your support. Thank you guys for tuning in. Enjoy your football Sunday. This is the Salute to Troy podcast brought to you by Bet Online. See you. Live free.